Good morning, everyone. It's Dr. Arlene Diamco, the multidimensional MD. My mission is to help wake up medicine and bring the intuitive spirit back in practical and tangible ways. So, today I'm going to be talking about how to transform your shadow sides into gifts. So, this is something that everybody struggles with. It's just part of the human experience, and there's aspects of ourselves that we may not like at first glance and or we may try to hide, but really this is untapped energy, untapped resources that we can reclaim and just embrace and use in a more useful way so you can transform what appears to be your shadow sides into gifts. And I've been doing this all week for patients. So what I try to notice is if there's trends, and if I say something multiple times in a week, then it's often something that I'll come here and talk about with you. So if you consider your shadow sides as like this yin and yang, so again, it's like maybe a hidden part of you, or maybe not so hidden part of you, but that you are judging in some way because you would rather not have it. So we're going to go through this step by step. I'm going to go through 7 steps to help you with that kind of shift. So the first one is to be aware and call out all aspects of yourself. It's like you're this beautiful gemstone and you have all of these facets. And one, I mean, it's not like one facet is better than the other. It's all of them that create this unique shape that's you. And so they're all beautiful. So just call out different aspects. So I'll give examples from my own life too. So let's see. Like one, when I was growing up, I tended to be a procrastinator. And two, I tended to be really shy, I didn't want to like speak a lot. So then name the role or purpose for that aspect. So if I think about being a procrastinator, it's like that perfectionistic tendency, a fear of failure. Okay. Or you could also name it like as an animal, like a totem or your spiritual animal, just to kind of give it more energy and to really understand it, because it's understanding yourself that can help you in the healing process. So the other one I had mentioned for myself was, oh, being really shy growing up, not a good or bad thing. So if I named it as an animal, it was like a turtle. So I've talked about turtles in different ways before, but the turtle, because I would like shrink into myself and hide, right? So then that's it, just acknowledging, seeing it for what it is, and then we're going to move on. 3, thank that aspect for its role. So thank you, that that characteristic of being a perfectionist, of it did get me through a lot of things. I was able to definitely get projects done. I studied for tests. Um, Maybe wasn't in the best way. It's more of a fear base because that fear of failure. Um, and I would get things done at the very last minute. So, but I would put it off. So maybe I could have done it in a more relaxed way. And for that feeling of like shyness, not wanting to speak, then yeah, thinking that, because probably kept me out of trouble, because wasn't too wild, nothing wrong with being like more out there. I had friends that were definitely like much more out, and I really enjoyed their energy and their company. So, it's just appreciating like all these different characteristics of people. And but just seeing like, oh, okay, how did that serve me at certain points in time? Okay, so this helps you to be appreciative of yourself and appreciative of these different aspects, because there was a reason why you had them. Step 4, is there a way it could serve you better? So it's kind of seeing it in a different light. Again, we're talking about that yin and yang of the same thing. So there's always the potential, when there are these hidden parts of yourself or parts you don't like, there's this potential there that you just need to tap into. And so, is there a way it could serve you better? Um, and I just want to tell you as an aside, a lot of this idea was loosely inspired by internal family systems, which I am not trained in. So this is not internal family systems. However, if you want to deep dive into things like this, then I suggest that you see a counselor or someone that is trained in internal family systems. This is not it, but it was loosely inspired by that. So, is there a way it could serve you better? Um, and so that perfectionistic side, that fear of failure, it's like it's redefining it and m- just calling out in different ways. So this is like steps 4 and 5 kind of go together because it's one, considering is there a way can serve you better? And are there aspects that don't agree? Redefining the job descriptions. So for that perfectionistic quality, fear of failure, it could be looked at as, maybe instead of fear of failure, could you shift that role into, we're going to go do it in steps. So instead, like fear of not living, and then just shifting that even a step further so it's not so fear based of that purpose of like wanting to live fully, wanting to show up fully and interpreting. So then that I redefine that role as interpreting failure, what you might call failure, as really information because it's just a stepping stone. So if that aspect of yourself could start to see things that are failure as information, then it tells you how you can shift or what you would need to change to keep taking steps towards whatever you want to do. And it's really that process of figuring things out, of being yourself, that is really part of the joy of living. So not being afraid of living because really people who have done so many incredible things in this world, it didn't happen overnight. It seems like it did, but often there were struggles and they met those struggles and they faced them and they shifted accordingly. So now I use that quality of myself just like that. It's like not as I'm not no longer afraid of failure in the same way. And when I do, I try to understand it and examine, like, why does that bother me? Like, what am I afraid of? What people will think of me, that people will laugh at me, that people will be mad at me. So I kind of look at those different parts like that as well. And and then I consider it for myself. Am I going to be mad at me? Am I going to be make fun of me? And if the answer is yes, well, that's me. So I can shift that. I can be okay with myself stumbling or um, not figuring out the things the first time around. I mean, that's completely normal. We can learn things, and that's part of the human experience. So, and then that other example I had of just like being kind of shy and being like the turtle. So it's kind of redefining that and looking at that. And I still like to keep that turtle totem image because I talked about this in another podcast because if it's like I knowing how to retreat in myself, but then I can also use the stillness of myself. And I'm always have my home with me. So in that retreat, I also got to know myself. And and as I did, the closer you get to your authentic self, basically you're taking steps and steps towards your soul self. So as that aspect, as you understand it deeper and deeper, and you peel back the layers and you get to your soul self, see it starts to create this smoothness to it. And that's where you start to discover what the gift is. So for me, the gift was I can be in stillness and not feel the need to speak all the time because I need to understand myself. But then once I'm able to do that, I have a lot of confidence in myself. I have my home always with me, and I'm able to express in the world much better now. Like I'm doing these, and this is the I've had like over 80 of these now. So that's just an example of like how things can shift and transform. And it's not like that came overnight for me. That was over many years. But the sooner you are okay looking at it, accepting it, understanding it, seeing how it could be an emanation from your true soul self, then you can see that light in the shadow side. And that's how it starts to transform. So then imagine these new roles. And I mean, that image of the turtle is so nice and easy. And that wanting to live, not being afraid of living, is also something that's been a theme for me in the last year, especially after my dad passed a year ago. So I've really taken that in, and I want to feel what that feels like in my body and to breathe it in, because you can't just keep it in your mind. I mean, it's this idea once you get into to connect with your soul self, it's that idea coming from your heart, connecting with your mind, but you can't keep it there. So to really live it, you have to bring it into the world with the movement, with the breath, with the action. And before you do that, it's like really feeling it in your body so you have that intentional action. And when you do that, if you can just break things down into small aspects of yourself, then it's really amazing. Um, I want to review one more thing on the aspects that, because I didn't mention, are there aspects that don't agree? So sometimes I've seen this with people and for myself too, because there'll be an aspect of ourselves that's like, yeah, I can do it. Oh my, I all for it, the cheerleader. And then there'll be like that other part of you that's hesitant and, are you sure? What if it doesn't work out? And that for me could have been like that perfectionist side. So it's being able to embrace all the different parts and bring them in to yourself, because if you do that, it's a whole new way of living. And as things start to shift, you are you feel like a new being. You're not a new being, but you're allowing your being to express in the world. So there can be a newness, a rawness to it. That's okay. I like to say that because sometimes with that newness, it can feel like you're regressing or things feel more intense again, but it's in a different way because you're more in your body and now you're able to feel things more. So to not look at that as, oh no, I'm getting worse again. It's really part of the healing process. So as you get used to a new way of being, you do have to get some practice at it. And that practice will groove in the new neural pathways so that it becomes more like it feels more at ease. It's really your nature, but when you're not practiced at it, those pathways haven't quite grooved in. So that's okay. Be patient. Realize that as you shift, there will be a newness. Don't be afraid of that newness. And it's how you want to feel anyway. It's who you are. So step by step, moment by moment, you can do it. So thank you so much for joining me for this brief podcast today. I hope that helped you in some way. And if you want help deciphering these different aspects of yourself, I am here for you. Feel free to schedule an appointment with me. Or if you just want to put in the comments, we can brainstorm together, like help if each other understand ourselves. It's the understanding that of yourself that is so healing, because the more you understand, the closer you get to your true self. And your true self is always loving and always supportive and really doesn't need any healing. So it's just like peeling back those layers. So leave a comment, let me know. I'm happy to give any feedback. This is not medical advice. This is not psychotherapy. So this is just brainstorming ideas together. coming up with different perspectives and ways, loving ways that we can view ourselves. And so we can use that power of the collective too to help support each other. So lots of love to all of you. Thanks so much for joining me. And I will be here next week, next Wednesday, 11 a.m. EST for another episode of the Multidimensional MD. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you next time.